Hello and welcome to today's SIG CLI bug scrub for Kustomize. Today is Wednesday, June 8th. Today we are going to be going over Kustomize issues that have not been triaged yet, and if we have time, some older ones that have not had attention in a while. We're going to be using the Kustomize triage board, which I will paste in the chat here for everyone. This is also a great opportunity if you're new to Kustomize to claim an issue that you would like to work on or to ask questions about anything that we discuss, or if you have an issue that you want attention or that you want to bring to our attention or you want to have us discuss, then you can also bring it up at any time and we'll go over that. Before we get started, is there anyone who is new to this Kustomize bug scrub or to SIG CLI in general who would like to say hello?
Hello, I'm Rajat. It's my first meeting for SIG CLI.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Anyone else? Feel free to jump in at any time if you'd like. But with that, we will get started. So first we have this question, which I actually saw they made a PR on, what is that? It's the Kates.io repo, I believe. Where the images are stored, and I tagged it this morning. It might have already merged, in fact. Yeah, there we go. So if somebody made that, so we can just actually mark that as closed.
Aren't we trying to move away from the Kates GCR.io? I can't remember if we're moving to it or from it. An email at some point.
Good question. We are using the Kates InfraOrg's infrastructure, but whether that registry is on the new thing or the old thing, I don't remember offhand.
Oh, that's right. It was the new one is registry.k8s.io.
Yeah, I don't know what we would have to do to actually move the images themselves. The ask is, I think, from the other perspective, like these registries are being mirrored, so we can, if you are using these images on the end user side, then you should use the new endpoint and it will use the best registry for your location and save us money. But I'm not sure if there's an ask for us to move stuff to be published there in the first place or not. I haven't seen it. Certainly we would have to do that if that's the case, though.
Okay.
Let me know if you have any info that I haven't seen on that.
Yeah, I don't have any info. I just the email that Dylan sent out popped into my head.
Oh, that's a good thought. So we have this issue here pasted in the chat. Ability to template resource results. So for starters, template is a flag for me here because templating is an eschewed feature. Kustomize deliberately never, ever does templating. That's kind of its originating design principle. So something to keep in mind as we read this. This sounds like they just want to use a remote reference, which is definitely possible. Hmm. Yeah, the second ask here actually seems to break the encapsulation principle. Like they want to reference some files from remote resources as though they were local, as part of a different customization, which is something that we also intentionally don't support. I don't know if that one is listed on these stewed features, but the templating certainly is. You could find that as part of the response. Natasha, do you have any other different thoughts about this?
I think the second one seems like kind of a weird design to me. Like one resource URL will pull all the remote resources and then the other ones will reference it. Like it's weird to me that, like, how do you decide which one is supposed to be the one with the remote URL? Like I think it should be like symmetric and encapsulated. That said, I also think we'd recommend not using remote URLs, like as a best practice. Like I think Jeff used to say, like it should only be for prototyping. So I'm wondering how much support do we want to offer for this use case?
Yeah. Since this is a no at length, I might save it and write a more careful response afterwards, but the three things seem to be yeah, encapsulation, the use of remote URLs to that extent being not something we recommend, and the templating not being something that we would ever accept for the foundational principles reasons that are outlined here. Interesting, we don't actually use the word templating in the headings. I guess it's unstructured edits is probably where we cover it, but it could be something we could clarify potentially in our docs. All right, so
if you look at the Kustomize README, the first sentence is that Kustomize is template free.
okay. Yeah, all right. That's good. Okay, so I'll answer that one after the call. There we go. On to the third one. The link in the chat. This is an upgrade from the pre-KML to the post-KML, so that's worth noting.
I think their update also includes some changes in how we track like previous names. I think I worked on that like early in V4. I can take a look at this one and see if that change caused their problem.
Okay, I can assign you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. All right, here's this next one. Alternative file name path for customization.yaml. this is a bug, this lack of sampling support, like that's not on purpose. That one we would fix. All right, I have a sample for us to look at. There's some customizations in here, I guess. The thing with this one is that Kustomize does have a very strong opinion about how you should structure your files. And we've had other issues opened when folks don't like that, that structure. Part of it is designed around security reasons, so that you have like an encapsulation of each base. Not just security, but security reason that came to mind is that the file loader that implements it also has security controls about what you can reference from within a customization. But the idea is that like when you have a base, everything around it, everything it requires to be expanded is local to it. So if you have a bunch of customization files that are siblings, then what does that mean for that encapsulation, I guess? It would definitely increase the complexity of what's possible here. And I guess the question is like, is that going to be worth it for us? Do we find this compelling?
I think I'm worried it'll open like a big can of worms, like if we allow a custom file name and that file can be, anywhere on the file system, and we have to resolve file path references, it could get very messy and complicated.
Yeah. I guess like it's also a question of like, why are you copying the files around? It's like you definitely have to have this other structure to begin with, and then you're having to move it later. Why can't you just, if you are setting up a repo for Kustomize, then why don't you start with that layout? I don't know.
Also, I'm wondering why they're copying files instead of just reusing a base customization.
Right. Are we comfortable rejecting the feature then?
I think we can reject the feature. Maybe we can ask them like why they need this instead of reusing customization bases, or like why can't they use the structure, just so that we have an idea about what their use case is.
Yeah. Okay. Is it needs information or kind needs information? I always get that wrong. Triage needs hyphen information. We are very hesitant to support alternate file names due to the increased complexity it would add to Kustomize's model. Kustomize is indeed quite opinionated about the file structures it expects. As part of its core design. You please provide more information on why the standard structure is where with a series of encapsulated bases that can be reused does not work for you. requiring you to have an original structure with multiple bases side by side that will then need to manipulate to I don't know, copy around. Please note that if a bug and features should not be designed around the assumption it won't be fixed. And to help with that one, we would appreciate it. How does that sound? Anything I got wrong?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's see. Helm charts. Yeah, it's like they want to actually be using Helm, but they're using it through Kustomize in order to get various features out of here. Like this in the overlay, they still want to be Helm native, which is not possible because by the time you're in the overlay, you've already generated the files from the base, and they are files at that point, right? So like this would be an additional Helm chart that they'd be adding, unless I'm mistaken. So the only way to do something like this would be with composition, which doesn't exist yet, but it allows you to manipulate the generator config itself before running the generator. And that would include the Helm generator in theory. It's not possible right now, but well, the Helm generator, like everything else, should have an expanded form like that, right? With a KRM style resource that you could manipulate. So I think that would work once composition was implemented.
That makes sense to me.
So right now they could do it with the transforming transformers feature. They would have to use the full expansion inside the transformers field and then pull it in their overlay, right?
How do you do that? I've never seen that.
It's pretty inelegant, but it does work. I think it's even documented in somewhere. I'm really eager for our docs to be redone. It's hard to find stuff. Let's see. It is possibly in the root reference for customization. Maybe here. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so what you do is in your base, you reference the full transformer config. As resources. And those resources just get pulled in. You have to have them in their own separate base. I don't know if this would be a problem for them. And the reason, actually, maybe the best thing to link to would be the example from the composition KEP, because it shows both that it works and that it's ugly. Because you have to, these transformers that you want to transform, you have to pull them in on their own, like through their own structure. Because if you intermingle them with resources, then something weird will happen when you suddenly add the base that has both things as a transformer. The resources themselves aren't transformers, so you try to run them. Well, that doesn't work. So you have to have like this kind of separate tree pulling in and transforming the transformers until they're ready, which means that you end up with sort of two parallel lines coming in. The one that is like the dev version of the resources and the one that's the dev version of the transformers. And you have to pull those up together and then merge them. And then potentially, like if you wanted to apply, say, like a dev label to your the results of the transformers or generators in this case, which is highly plausible, then you need another layer to do that because they haven't been combined yet. Now you have that transformation defined in two different places. It's not very elegant, but it does work theoretically. Well, not theoretically, it does actually work. It's just an unideal structure, which is part of the motivation behind the composition cap. I don't think that's probably going to get me what I want. These enhancements should really just keep links to these things.
It's the second one.
Yeah, that's our issue for it, but yeah, that I do want to. I guess this. Oh, this was on the customized repo. That's why we let it close, I guess. And then we have this, which there is actually, I think we committed it, so it should just be in. In here, here. So you have the contrasting examples where yeah, they it's not very obvious when you have to dig through the repos, but so you have your plugin space that is going to list a set of things that are actually transformers as resources. So see here, this fake HTTP load balancer thing. This is actually a transformer that's going to be run by a Docker image. And all three of them are that. And this customization is pulling in those three things. Then you have to go up a layer here. You have a customization.yaml that pulls in those bases and then patches on, because they're being treated as resources at this point. This patch gets applied to the HTTP load balancer transformer to change the domain to something else. And the transformer hasn't run yet, so it's still just transformer config. And then you pull in, this is the layer where you're integrating some built-ins, which are probably just resources. Yeah, just pulling in config map. So in the integration layer, you pull in the built-in space, which pulls in resources as resources, but then you pull in the transformer configs, which were previously treated as resources in the lower layers as actual transformers. So when we hit this layer and we're evaluating the customization tree, we hit this layer, we'll actually execute the transformers at this point. And they'll be transformed through the lower layers to whatever final shape we wanted them to be in. So yeah, that's how that works. And then you have a top layer that pulls that in, which now the transformers have already run, and it's integrated the resources that came from the transformers, since they will have run in the lower layer, with the ones that we added from the plain resource set, and then it applies the common labels. Like you have to do all these transformations at the higher level, because prior to that, you don't have the results from the transformers available. So that's how that one works. And in composition, it's a lot more elegant. You have a more traditional structure with fewer layers. Your composition.yaml is able to pull in both resources and your transformer config. Like it actually treats everything, all the different transformers built in and not on the same level. And you define your own ordering with that. And then at the higher level composition, you're still able at that stage to override stuff in the transformer config, because nothing has been executed yet. It has a different execution model than customization. So you pull in the base modules. You can override whatever you want with them. You can add new ones that you hadn't had before, like for a specific environment. yeah, it's at the top level that it will finally get executed, whatever you target with customized build. So that works differently. Anyway, thought I'd go over that since it was super relevant and like it's not popularly understood. So like that's the solution that will eventually work for a use case like this. And that is something that they could, the current version of the weird customization tree to transform transformers is something they can try today if they really want to do it right now.
Cool. Yeah.
Right, so enhancement tracking issue, let's see. Okay. To do this, you would need to use currently. Use the transformed, I think it's not transformed transformers. This is not particularly elegant. And we have a new customized kind called composition that is intended to improve workflows like these. You can read more about it in this tab, which is here. The cap also contains an example of the two structures. We have a PR for this composition. This PR details the work left to do to get composition managed. Should we close this one or this is a question?
If it's covered by composition, then I think it's fine to close.
And is it triage support or kind support? Kind support. Yeah, oh, and this, I didn't see this example here, but that's correct. Like if you start with, I don't know if the example there is valid, but if you start with your Helm charts and then you have the resources and then use customized native mechanisms to patch them, that's obviously another thing that you can do. All right. Where are we here? Question, this one? More about plugins, really?
I'm very confused by the title because the config map generator isn't a KRM exec plugin. Like they're just two separate things.
Sounds like it's using them in conjunction.
I think there is a feature though. Where did I see that? that allows you to tag the resources as needing a suffix. Does that not sound familiar? No. Where is that? Maybe in the. No, it's probably not. Specification. Trying to remember where I saw that.
I mean, if they are using config map generator, can't they just use the generator options?
There it is. No, they're generating the config map from their own generator, I think.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and they want us to take care of suffixing it. I guess this plugin is part of our tests, so in theory, even though we're not seeing a separate test case, this should be getting run, right? Let's see. This is just, yeah, it just like outputs this. And the test. Wait a minute. Well, it gets tagged with needs hash suffix, but this is only testing the generator itself, so it's not showing that if needs hash suffix is true, it will actually get the suffix eventually. Here, hash transformer.
I think the like built-in like config map generator uses this like annotation. Like it checks this annotation to determine if the resource needs a hash. So if they set it manually, I'm not sure it will work. I don't know if all resources go through this code.
Yeah. The fact that we have this example, though, suggests that it was intended to work at some point. We can ask them to give it a try. Unless we don't want this to be a thing that we support. In which case we should remove the example.
I'm fine either way. I do wonder if they're writing their own plugin, could they just like they could do it in their own code, right? Like as part of the plugin. Add a hash.
They could. Yeah, we should ask them. That's a good idea. Like why? I mean, there could just be well, Kustomize has this feature. It's doing it a certain way. I want it to be done consistently with whatever Kustomize is doing to calculate the hash instead of rewriting the logic myself. That would be valid, but we have an example showing Sound good?
Yep.
No, I didn't add a triage label. Triage, I guess that's needs information because we are asking them to respond. And this is kind support so far anyway, because it's referring to an existing feature. There we go. It'd be nice if we had that kind support label automatically applied when they use the question template. It's almost always the case. Another thing about generation. In the chat. It's about apply though. Yeah, this is not about us. I remember an issue though on kubectl. About the messaging around applied versus configured, or sorry, configured versus unchanged. Let me see if I can pull that up for them, but this is definitely not an issue for our repo. Configured, unchanged. Also, it could be on the Kubernetes repo. Tons of our issues are on there. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, this I think this is what they're looking for. That message is generated by your well. Okay. Label and secret created by service account. I mean, if you're not generating it locally, then it doesn't, again, have anything to do with Kustomize. Am I missing something?
I was thinking the same thing, like if the secret is already generated and in the cluster, there's nothing we can do.
I guess I could link them to the labels docs. Do we even have that in our own docs, or is that up in the upstream docs? Control label. It's possible to imperatively label resources using control. That said, this issue is not related to Kustomize since the resource in question is not by it. Kustomize is Let's see. This is the same person. Wait, what?
I think they want all their generators to also add the labels.
Why though? Why wouldn't it just like if you use a generator and it doesn't have the label, but you have the label transformer in your config, the resources will get labeled anyway by the label transformer, won't they?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe we can let them know that generation happens first and then the label transformer will still run on generated resources.
Mm-hmm. Are they metadata labels, spec template, metadata, secret template on certificate? Is it clear why they're using the advanced form versus the standard?
I don't think the secret template labels occur by default. I think they have to use field specs for that.
This one here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we still have that PR in progress that would allow people to reuse field specs? That's still open.
I think it's still open. I don't know if they've worked on it. I haven't seen updates recently.
Yeah, this definitely can't work unless the customization itself is in the resource set. Like if you're doing the transformers thing, but that would be, I think that's not even supported, like having a customization in there. In theory, customization could be treated as a generator, I suppose, but I don't think we allow it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, that PR is open and it's on us. We haven't reviewed it, so we should do that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, I guess. We have the power to move it forward. Can you ping me on it? Make sure it gets back into my queue. Simulate has escaped.
Yeah, I can also get it to you later this week.
Great. Okay, yeah, right. It is not possible to use the label transformer to target the customization itself. So transformers can only operate on the resources. The resource set, no, whatever. That's unnecessary. Could you please provide more info on why you need the generator? Also add labels and labels since label transformer. Oops, I spelled that today. Comes after generators. They will expect all of their generator resources to get the labels. Questions automatically. Does that sound right? All right, is there a way to generate multiple role bindings? Our next one, link in the chat. Huh. Um, Kustomize can generate any resource kinds you want. I'm not really sure what the specific trouble is. Yes, Kustomize can generate. Well, generate, I guess maybe that's the. Maybe the
Are they
question is
looking-
about permutations.
Yeah, I'm like, are they looking to have like a role binding as a base and then like an overlay for each namespace or something like that?
I see. So the problem is like a question of how to make this a dry situation without writing out like many copies of what's essentially the same role binding with one field different.
I think so.
Okay. How would we do that? Maybe with components? Components let you pull in the same thing over and over again without messing with the resource identifier tracking.
I think so. I'm not certain. I think it's supposed to, but it's not well tested.
Mm-hmm. And let's say it did work though. How would that look? Because somehow you need to tell Kustomize, you know, I want all of these namespaces to be the ones that are populated. So I think you would still need sort of an outrageous number of layers or customized, not layers, probably parallel customizations. I'm imagining you have your base that pulls in the service account, the role probably, and the service account, and then also a component that has the cluster role in it. But it pulls in that component. Notice you would need like n customizations that all have namespace foo or whatever, and they all pull in that component. So you have component at the base, things that pull in that have namespace whatever. They are all referencing the component, and then you would have another customization that pulled in all of those and the resources that they all share. So the role binding and service account. That would probably work. I don't think it's super elegant, but that's probably the only possibility besides like a custom generator to actually take in some more declarative parameters describing the specific situation. I'm gonna try that to see if it even works at all, because just for my own knowledge, I want to know if I'm understanding components correctly, because I haven't worked with them very much. So I'm gonna give that a try, and if it works, I'll say that or the custom generator option.
Sounds good.
Or if anyone else wants to try it, feel free to speak up. I'll say this is going to be our last one. Wait, this one we've already responded to, and I think, is that Anna? Yeah, that's Anna,
Yeah,
one of
that's
our
me.
contributors. Okay, so this will be our last one. I think it's also unseen. Yeah. Oh, actually, someone posted in the chat here to ask a favor at the end of the meeting. We only have 3 minutes left, so that's now. And yes, absolutely. What do you need? Okay, it's about what is a good issue to take up. Yeah, if you can maybe ping us in the Kustomize channel in Kubernetes Slack so that we know how to get in touch with you, we can find you something to work on. I don't know if any of the issues that we came up today, like sometimes we get great new contributor issues during this bug scrub, but today it was mostly things that needed more information. I don't, yeah, so we'll have to go find you something else. Does that work? Okay.
I also do have one issue that might be good for a first-time contributor. I'll link it in chat, and then we can follow up on Slack.
Okay, that's even better. Thanks, Natasha. Yeah, so go ahead and take a look at that. And yeah, we're in the Kubernetes Slack in the Kustomize channel. Thanks, Natasha. Yeah, it seems like they should use the config map generator probably. But since we're pretty much out of time here, I'll take care of this one as well. Looking to see if that is actually the answer. Since they have duplicate resources, it's either that or duplicate resources aren't valid server side either. So we'll have to see, read the whole thing more carefully. All right. Thank you everyone for coming today. We got through a lot of issues. It is great to see new faces here, and I hope that everyone got something out of this meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a meeting every Wednesday of SIG CLI at this time, alternating bug scrubs and like SIG meetings. So next week will be a SIG meeting, and you're all welcome to join us for that as well. Hope to see you again soon.